let's start with Miami. First year for Mario Cristobal. I think we forget that a lot. Like there's this crazy expectation. The U is back, but it's first year. Tyler Van Dyke, we'll see. Mr. Garcia, they play him. Another big recruit out of Southern California, remember from high school. But Clint, what's your take on what's going on at the U? It was a tough loss, embarrassing loss, whatever you want to call it, to Middle Tennessee. But here we go. They enter conference play. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think a couple of things. To be clear, I did not see the game where he got benched, so I'll be clear with that. But I won't speak on that. I will. I'll say this though: when you got a new head coach and you're going through that transition period, it's real easy for everybody to buy in as long as you're winning. It's real easy for everybody to buy in when there's no starters and everybody gets to compete and everybody's got a new life and they're competing their tail off. And the minute you lose to A&M after they lost to App State, I think it's a little different challenge for a coach to keep that group together. And so it wouldn't shock me at all if that's not a major problem for Cristobal right now. With the quarterback situation, again, I did not see that ball game, but I know that could cause major waves in that organization, because we're not just talking about a quarterback. We're talking about a dude that a lot of people said was a first-round draft pick prospect. At least that caliber player. We're talking about a dude that, he was the talk of he was the U in terms of why they were ranked high and what their expectations were. And all of a sudden you bench him. Like I don't know from the outside looking in, but to me, it takes something pretty significant. It's not just a really good quarterback that you made the face of your program and he had a rough couple games, so you bench him. That's typically the guy that you really hang your hat on in terms of helping you rebuild for a year or for 2 years when you first get there. So I don't know what happened, but typically when somebody like this, when a player like that gets benched this early in the season, it's usually more than just, hey, man, his completion percentage wasn't high enough, or, hey, man, he missed a couple of touchdowns in a critical moment. There's usually more to that, and that's concerning for Miami from my perspective.
What do you think, D, about this program? And you've seen the game here.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. To Clint's take about just there being a little more there. Maybe it's just the pressure. You hired Cristobal, and the U was back, and they blaring and bumping it all off season, and just to see some of the reality kick in that you still have to put in a lot of work, and it's not going to happen as quick as you would like it. Seeing them lose to A&M and then getting another shocking close game against Middle Tennessee. I don't know if y'all seen that picture that kind of went viral, but it was like they kind of paused the film. It was when they had that reverse. It's kind of like a receiver reverse, and there's 3 guys just standing there with the ball, and it just looks bad. I think that's the pressure he feels. Like it just looks bad. Like obviously the game being close was already pressure enough that it was like, all right, what are we doing here? Then for them to lose that game, is just like, it's a bad look on Cristobal. So I think he feels the pressure, the expectations of that program and alumni that he's got to make it happen. So he saw him going downhill, and I think instead of riding with Tyler Van Dyke, and that's the thing is like, what happens does he come back? I think for a guy like that, if he's your guy, you gotta at least let him fight to come back and win the game. To bench him and then lose the game is, to me, more demoralizing if he would just stay in the game and lost himself. Because now they lost, and he's thinking in the back of his head, like, why'd you bench me? I could have helped us win the game, even if he was struggling. And so I think there's something there. I would probably go on and say it's not as much to this caliber, but as far as hype going to the season, I had somebody tell me Tyler Van Dyke might be the best quarterback in the league. And it's from like an expert told me that. And so it was warranted. Like he had some really good games last year. He's having flip-flop years as DJ, to me, like struggling. Like not being what people said he would be. Not that you've definitely seen it be there, but it's not there right now. And yeah. DJ's having the opposite year. DJ's being who people thought he could be.
Yeah, and DJ's got a different defense, right? Like to be fair, when you give up 45 points in Middle Tennessee, I don't know. I'm just curious to see how this shakes out. Like I've known Mario a while from when he was at Oregon, and yeah. I think this is really interesting, right? Like there's one school of thought of like, ride with your guy because you don't want to pull him, because if you pull him and then put him back in, what does that do with his confidence? I don't think Tyler Van Dyke is that guy. I'd imagine he's already pretty confident. I wonder if it was a world where like, okay, he doesn't have his fastball today. We're losing to Middle Tennessee. Let's see if we can have a spark. Like I tend to think it was that. I kind of hope it was that. Maybe that's the optimist in me. But I look at North Carolina at VTech, which is, I mean, this is a challenging place to play.
Hey, that place is rocking too.
Place is crazy, yeah. Then they get Duke, Virginia, and away they go in the last month of the season. I don't know how they're going to go, but I think this. I think that because it's Miami, you weren't getting picked apart for everything that you do. You weren't getting too much praise for everything that you do. And you weren't probably too much criticism for things that you maybe don't do. I say that because it's still year one. And this is a team that struggled last year. This is a program that didn't have a ton of players. They did not do like a USC when you look at like the transfer portal. They added pieces, but they didn't add Jordan Addison. They didn't add Eric Gentry. They didn't add Mekhi Blackman. Like they added pieces. But I think because of the logo that we said earlier, and that's kind of been a theme of this show tonight, they're expected to be so much bigger. And I blame the AP to a degree on that, right? They're highly ranked and hadn't really done much their first couple of games. Lose to A&M wasn't pretty. And of course, last week wasn't pretty. So I still think it's like, it's year one.